Welcome to the Dance to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how life is a dance. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that mind and body-connected movement is vital to healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I created Dance to Heal Wellness featuring the Spotlight Confidence Formula and also authored the best-selling award-winning book, Outside In Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new ways to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. Why is forgiveness so important in grief? And I'll tell you, one of the hardest things I thought would be forgiving my parents for my childhood. It was actually forgiving myself. And that's a really interesting topic because because English isn't my first language, I was born in Taiwan and I don't fully understand my native language anymore because I grew up in the States. The whole forgive and forget, or I can forgive you, but I can't forget what you do. I did not quite understand that for a long time because to me, forgiving meant you could forget about it. And I realized, no, actually, you're allowed to keep remembering it as long as it doesn't have this emotional weight of it or the grieving still of what happened. That's equated for me anyways, right? So for my audience, will you explain to them why is forgiveness an important aspect of grief?
Well, and I do want to circle back real quick because I don't feel like I directly answered your previous question. I mentioned self-awareness, but for me, it was really, I think it's like, ask yourself, how did I get here? How did I get here? What's happened in my life that has led me to this place, emotionally, spiritually, physically? How did I get here? Start unraveling that question. That's a rabbit hole in and of itself. And that's how you start to develop self-awareness. And that was necessary for my healing. And again, healing, this is not, I'm not saying like we are to eradicate grief. Like this
Right.
grief recovery is not to get rid of grief. It's not to completely dismiss it. Emotional, like people's spiritual bypass, emotional bypassing, none of that. It's sitting with it. It's energetically sitting with it and letting it pass through you, transmuting it. It's releasing, it's frees up. It frees up your potential and frees up your energy to live a vivacious, full, purpose-driven, meaningful life. When we have this veil of grief over our eyes, we can't see ourselves or others clearly. So self-awareness is what chips away at that, what helps us see ourselves clearly, see others clearly. And forgiveness is a huge piece of that. If I wouldn't have been able to, and it's for us, it's not for the other person. And we can sit and wait for an apology that we'll never receive. And while we do that, we're stuck in emotional jail. If I would have sat and waited for an apology from my molester, I'd still be waiting, right? Like, and I'm the one suffering. So forgiveness is for me. It's not for the other person. And a lot of people are afraid of forgiveness because they think in some way it's condoning what happened. It's not. It doesn't equal condoning. And there is a way in grief recovery that if you're not quite there yet, we call it like a stopover. There is a way to be emotionally honest with where you're at if you're not quite at the place of forgiveness.
What is that?
Well, it's going to be different for everybody, right? Because everybody's grief experience is unique to them. And that's why this method is so amazing because yes, it's a format, it's a method. But because everybody's grief is unique to them, the relationships are unique. You live in the same household with your family. You have two other siblings. You lived with the same parents. Every single one of you is going to have a very different relationship with the parents. So when you're an adult and a parent dies, and one is responding differently than the other, Don't look at the other sibling and be like, you're not this, why are you acting like this? Or why are you responding this way? They were your father, they were your mother. Meanwhile, you had the best part of them because you're the oldest. You saw them at their peak, at their prime, before grief hit their life in adulthood, right? When my grandmother and father passed away, my sister was 18. She was moving out of the house. She had 18 years of my father and my mother together. She got the best of my mom. She died. A part of her died when my father died and her mother. I was 8. So my childhood experience was vastly different from hers.
Mm.
There's no comparison. You
Well,
can't compare the two. They're completely different relationships. So when my mother does pass, I'm going to feel very differently about things than my sister might have.
oh yes, for sure. There's been an increased awareness that the same siblings have very different perspectives of being parented by very different people because the parents are always at different stages in their lives. And speaking
Yes,
as an elder sister, I had to break my parents because my parents didn't know how to be parents until my brother came. I had the
right.
flip end of it where,
Yeah.
being the elder Asian daughter, it's a completely different set of roles, Victoria. Like no one can ever really understand it unless you actually came from that. The amount of pressure, because you were parentified as a child, meaning you took care of the emotions of your mother for a little while, right?
Mhm.
That was done to me also, but I was 4 years old because I was expected to be his second mother. And before that, I
Mm.
had no role because I was a girl born from a time that it's unfathomable to most of us. So it's just one of those things. Audience, I want you to understand that everyone's perspective is valuable, and still to understand that most of our siblings have had completely different childhoods. There's no way.
Yes. My
Even
yeah.
I have fraternal twins. They have had different childhoods.
Mhm.
They've had different childhoods because they actually end up with they had completely different they had different nervous systems, so they saw the world very differently, reacted to the world very differently. They were I could do a science experiment talking in retrospect about how different they were. And I tried to parent them exactly the same and could not do it. They had different needs as a parent, and I was an occupational
Mhm.
therapist going into motherhood, so I was equipped with all the knowledge, quote unquote. Right? I trained in all the developmental levels of children, and I still had to go outside of those structures to understand what my children individually needed as twins. That's the irony of it all, because we're like snowflakes
We
in the
are.
positive sense, right? Every single one of us. And I love the fact that you do acknowledge all of your clients are very different. They come to you for one thing and they end up working on something else that was buried underneath it. And I would love for you to just tell us, you know, why is grief recovery different from like typical support groups?
Because it's action oriented and it's evidence based. So every week builds upon itself, and you're learning new knowledge and new tools that you can actually apply to all aspects and areas of your life long after you've gone through the program. It is something that you have for life. Um, I've continued to utilize the tools that I've learned to apply it to relationship with money, with alcohol, with food. There are so many different aspects of our lives that we hold relationship with that is not just people. Your inner child, your body, your physical body. For someone who's really struggling with chronic illness or something, it's almost like I can imagine it's like this rage against the machine that is your body. Because I can only, it's like you're in a prison of you're a prisoner of your own body. Some people feel like there's diseases that make you literally feel like a prisoner in your own body, if that's how you choose to perceive it, right? So how we shift our perspective is with new tools, with new knowledge, with new information. And most I dare say most people in our culture, in Western society today, would rather spend $3,000 on a vacation for a week than on their own mental health and well-being that can unleash their hearts and unleash their lives.
Because that's unknown, Victoria. And a vacation, you get to escape your life because it's fun
Right.
and
Don't,
exciting and it's
yeah,
stimulating. And then you get to come back to your old life, and then you have that post vacation, what is it, like hangover, because you have to go back to what you ran away from.
right. Why not just instead create a life you don't want to run away from? And it starts within. It starts here with us, within us. No one else is responsible for that but you, not your spouse, not your significant other, not your kids. But we look to other people in our lives to fill that massive hole that grief creates with other people, with other things to make us feel better.
You filled my heart today with this conversation, Victoria, because I think most of us shy away from topics like this. Most people I come into contact are they're loath to burden other people, is my words, I think, is my perspective. And I really enjoy you opening up and explaining to us why it's so important for you to do grief work with the world. Like why it's so important for the world.
Do you know what's interesting though? You think that's the reason, but I don't know. I actually had an experience recently. I went to a women's summit business. It was entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs. And you're standing in line and you're chit-chatting with the person in front of you, behind you, whatever. And this woman asked, "Well, what do you do? What do you do?" And I told her completely, it was like the conversation came to a literal dead stop. Once I told her what I did, she didn't want to talk to me anymore. And I'm just like, okay,
Listen, listen,
great.
and I think you planted a seed. You
I
might,
hope so.
girl,
Right.
listen, promise, I promise. I started the whole Dance to Heal concept before the Dance to Heal hashtag had 12,000 uses on Instagram.
Oh, wow.
And most people didn't understand what I meant. I had mentors saying, I don't get what you do. And I'd be like, you don't understand. You have to. What do you mean you don't understand? That's a birthright. You have to dance. Well, I don't dance. Okay, great. But I guess, I didn't realize back then they weren't the correct mentors for me.
Mm.
Right. And I wasn't speaking to the correct audience. And it wasn't until I went to Podfest and another event that people were like, oh my God, that's amazing what you do. And I went, okay, I'm with the right people. It was really interesting for me, Victoria, because you and I are in many areas, we're like the vanguard, the first people out there explaining how important it is to do this. What we do are keys to people's health, like taking responsibility for their own health. It's vital.
Mhm.
It's important. My audience knows this. So my community, Victoria's probably gonna have to come back because I think this particular interview will probably become a two-parter because it's gone beyond what our normal lengths are, and
Oh,
I want to make sure that you go to the unleashedheart.com for her website and her tools. And there was a really cool thing I was going to say and I forgot. It doesn't matter. You're coming back anyways. Oh, yes, I was. Okay, so if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know if I have any grief, do your muscle testing, which is the kinesthetic, which is applied kinesiology, and ask yourself, do I have unresolved grief I need to be addressing? It's probably going to be yes, okay? And then if you do, because my audience members are told to do muscle testing all the time to see what they're listening is irrelevant to them or is it relevant to someone else is supposed to listen to? And then the other thing, let me finish, and then I'm gonna have you answer that. And the other thing is also, if the muscle testing doesn't work for you, make sure you do your dominant handwriting. You ask the question in your dominant hand, and you answer in your non-dominant hand. And the question could be something around, do I need to be going on to Victoria Volk's, or more, what can I learn from Victoria's website? and then let your unconscious mind like answer with your non-dominant hand though, because at first it's not very legible for my newcomers, but my returnees know this, and then over time it does get more legible. Okay, so there's just different ways for you to be getting answers and finding out what you need to be applying to your own personal life. Okay, what were you going to say, Victoria?
Yeah. So when you mentioned the muscle testing, so the gateway for me into energy healing work that I do was body talk. I went to a body talk practitioner and worked with her for about a year. And through that process, then I kept hearing like Reiki, Reiki, Reiki. That led to Reiki. And then Reiki led to, oh, sound healing, sound frequency, tuning forks. That led to biofield tuning. So it's like, it's the breadcrumbs. I did not have this awareness about the breadcrumbs that were available to me, the new knowledge, the new information. I was not open to it when I was bogged down and self medicating with things that were unhelpful and hurtful, like alcohol or whatever it was, my own self pity, right?
I love bathing in self pity. It was quite a luxurious bathtub for quite a while, and then I realized it was doing more damage than actually helping me, and so it shifted.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, you don't know until you know. You know, it's like when I look up back over my dance journey, Victoria. I remember I had they call it's not healthy because I don't think it's trauma informed when a dance teacher assumes a mother role in your life because they shouldn't be. There's too many mother wounds that are unresolved that when dance
Mhm.
teachers claim or you put them in the role of mother, it sets up so all kinds of like really, really dangerous dichotomies. Anyways, but I had a dance mama like kick me out of her fold, and that was horrifying, devastating, and I was kind of on my own floating around. And then this one of the first big professional production dance companies. Shit. Sorry, audience. I just swore. Anyways, but that company was going back to my hometown, and they had as one of their featured cast members an Asian dancer. And for most of my life, I had seen no stars who were Asian. And her
Mhm.
name was Sharon Kihara. She's based out of Portland now, but Sharon was this tall, badass Asian dancer, and she was always featured in these productions. And I was like, I'm gonna go meet Sharon. So I go to this event, and Sharon wasn't there because she was somewhere else. And in her stead, it performing instead of her was Zoe Jakes, and Zoe Jakes is a part of Beats Antique, which is a very famous music group, but she also was a very famous fusion belly dancer. And I fell in love with Zoe. So then I followed her to an event in Georgia, my first trip ever that I left my family. They were very young. I traveled by myself, took a plane in the middle of a snowstorm in New York, all the way to Atlanta, where it was like balmy and sunny and nice. And there, chasing after Zoe Jakes, I then met Mira Betts, who was this amazing storyteller. She was an art major, and she taught me about the intricacies of storytelling. Meanwhile, back at home, I also had my the matriarch of the area, Os, Osmara, who was more like an American cabaret, old school performer. And that's kind of like my roots, but I never had any idea. I just wanted to follow what took me to the next thing, to the next thing. I love
Mhm.
your story, Victoria, about how you started one thing and then led you ultimately through all these healing modalities. I
Mhm.
got Reiki. I started Reiki training, and then I ended up getting Reiki during my chemotherapy.
Mm.
And it was pivotal because you probably know this. Some of my audience members do not know this because I don't often talk about it. In chemotherapy, they can't just target your cancer. Your entire body is flooded with chemotherapy,
Mhm.
including the brain. So it is very much of an attack on all your systems in hopes of taking out your cancer before everything else shuts down. And I was getting really sick from chemo. And Reiki was the only thing that would reset me. My husband and children saw a difference with my physical body, the way I carried myself, the color of my skin before and after Reiki treatment, in the middle of my chemotherapy. So
Wow.
there's a research that just came out where it was a particular type of energy healing that they made a huge difference in cancer cells of mice in their liver. So that's starting to come out now. More scientific research. So it's not really woo-woo science. It's actually backed by
It
data.
is. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's exciting. And oh, sorry about that. Um, some people too, it's like I'm a Christian and some people kind of shy away from that sort of thing, but it's like, um, healing hands, right? I'm not the healer. The Reiki Master is not the one, we're just a conduit, we're transference of energy. And yeah, it's a beautiful craft that has really helped me understand emotional energy more than it's a cellular level. Like our emotions affect us and impact us on a cellular level. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So true. So true. All right, my friends. I think Victoria's definitely a repeat guest. We'll have her come back soon. I'm going to make sure that you do go to her website, theunleashedheart.com, and make sure that you go to Move to Bloom for your free monthly masterclass with me, movetobloom.com. And Victoria, before I let you go, will you share with the audience the you now, Victoria, versus the you before, since you've been doing your grief work? Just like 5 words for before Victoria and now Victoria. 5 words for each state.
ooh,
It could be more or less, whatever.
yeah,
Just
before, reactive, impulsive, um, um, what's the word I'm trying to, performative, people pleasing, unaware. And the me now, self-aware, intentional, compassionate, more compassionate, even towards people who hurt me. More aligned in all areas of my life, in my body, which then results in me being the most authentic self that I was here to be.
oh, that's so
And a
brilliant.
lot more
Yes,
after.
so much
It's a
more,
lot
right?
more after.
We'll
Yeah.
discuss
It's
that when you
grief
come back.
recovery. Grief recovery has been the gift that has kept on giving for me. So yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Victoria. My family of Dance to Heal, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Dance to Heal podcast with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of inspiring triumph and learn more ways that you can heal yourself. To work with me and continue your journey, visit danceandheal.com. Are you ready to move?